right, we're back on Scarlet. Everybody's been asking me in the comments what's going on with the car, where's the video, where's the content. So today we're back on it. Got the transmission and we're going to be reassembling it today. Got the new replacement gears finally from the Czech Republic all the way from Caps. It took forever, but we got them. So now I've verified that we have the correct 6-gear ratio teeth on these gears. I've already taken the stacks apart and putting them back together. Sorry I didn't video that. I just kind of one of those things where when you just want to do something, you just want to get it done. So I do want to show you guys, you know, at least going back together here. But my goal today is to put this all the way back together, put it back in the car, get Scarlet running again, and shift through the gears and finally see if we have everything working, because Texas 2K is just around the corner and we're planning on competing there. Car's registered and signed up for the event. So it's go time. We got to make sure this car's 100% because I want the car to be ready to go, literally just sitting in a trailer waiting for the event where I don't have to do any last minute stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting this stuff in the transmission and getting all this stuff set up. And then I'll show you guys a couple little features on this, but I will need some help from my lovely assistant here. So basically the hard part about this is when you put these gear sets in, they're extremely heavy. These gear sets are not light at all, and you have to put them in together as one piece when you slide everything down inside the transmission. So it's a royal pain to do by yourself. So if you ever have somebody to help you hold the gear sets together, because God forbid if you drop one of these, I would literally end my life at that point, because you can't get these, and you don't want to know how much money's in these 2 stacks. I mean, you're looking just in these 2 stacks upward of $10,000, which is insane. But anyways, let's get this in there and see if we can do this and not look bad on camera. We're going to try to do this in one take. So you ready, Ben?
You didn't tell me that.
Right? All right, so basically they're going to drop in just like this. See how they're all lined up? So we're going to pick this whole thing up and then drop it all down.
All right.
So I'm going to put these together and then I just need your help to kind of So hold my hands. Just hold my hands together. Okay.
Is it in?
That's got a ways to go. Nice and steady.
Is it lined up though?
Yes. And voila, it's in.
Drop it. That's good.
I've done that before a few times.
Oh.
So no, never dropped one. I'm just saying I've done this a few times, so maybe it look kind of easy. No, you don't drop one of these ever. If you do, you're just hating life. All right, well, we got them dropped in. So basically, the one thing we got to be careful about though is underneath this last gear here, there is a bearing, and it's a 2-piece. It's like a shim, but it has rollers in it, and it's a bearing. And it's really hard to tell if it's even seated or centered properly when you're putting the stacks on. And if that's not centered properly and you put this whole transmission together, by the time you get to the end and go to put the snap ring inside this bearing here, the oil pump won't sit flush, and then you gotta tear it all the way back apart again to get to that. Because if you put it together, you first try to run it, you'll blow that bearing up, and that's a bad deal. So I think if I looked here, it looks like we're okay. So down here on the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a bearing that's in between there. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna jack this up with a screwdriver and try to position it till that sinks down all the way. So sometimes it's easy, but sometimes it'll fight. Easiest way is just put a little bit of pressure and just kind of. I'm looking, actually, it looks like we are seated. So I don't know if you can see this. Can you zoom in here maybe?
Maybe.
So if you look underneath here, there, when you pull this up, you see that recess where that bearing sits in there? See how it's all the way in?
Yep.
That's it. It's down 100%. So, all right. So now, next part we're going to do here is we're going to put the shift selectors in, which is kind of tricky. So these are the rods and all the forks right here. See these deals? So these are all the forks. So these float on these rods. It's kind of a cool design because it's pretty, I mean, it's pretty simple actually. You have these little I don't know if you want to call them detents, but these detents, they sit in this barrel, and when you move, when you shift, so let's say this is attached here to this fork, right? You see how that detent fits in there? Once you go ahead and bang a gear, this rotates and then forces this shifter through these little grooves. And once it hits one of these notches, it pulls it up or down to grab the gear. It's pretty cool, actually. It's like a motorcycle transmission. They do the same thing. So all these shifters, they stack up on here in all these spots. So kind of neat. It's really, you know, it's, when I first saw this setup, I was really intimidated by it. And I was, you know, thinking to myself, God, this thing's so complicated, you know, how am I ever going to figure this out? But when you actually start messing around with this thing, it's pretty simple. Like, there's not really much to it. So it's pretty, you know, neat how they designed this transmission, actually. It's pretty cool stuff. So we're going to put this guy in that groove. We're going to get this lined up. This fork is going to go up here.
Is that the only one that needs to go in first?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep. Pretty intricate little setup, but it's pretty simple. It's actually kind of cool. Just like that. That's how they set. So you're gonna have your detent, which is in here. Just like that. And then there's a Allen that goes in there for that one. So if we go over here, you have basically, these are what hold the shifters in. And what these do is these screw all the way in to there, which locks that rail. So it keeps it centered and together. And then when we put the case on, the other side goes into the case and it creates a solid setup there. So then this one, detent goes down. These guys all slide together. This is a pretty ingenious design, I will say, when they built this stuff. They really thought about it, and they did a killer job. So the tricky part here is just getting it
Lined up.
Yeah. Just gotta be nice and gentle with it. There's no forcing any of these parts because these parts are so well machined. They do not need hammers at all. Nice and smooth. See how smooth that was? That's what you want. If any of these don't go in smooth and you have to tap on them, there's something wrong and it will not work right. So do not put it together. So we have our another detent. Same thing. It's gonna go in there. So now I gotta go grab a big Allen wrench for this and then, yep, still got it here from last time. So see this little line? This little line here needs to be flush with the case. That's how you know. And then this needs to be lined up like this. So you line it up so that it's in line with where this detent's gonna go. It's a little trick. And as you're putting this in, you'll feel it. Yep, that's it, locks it in. Pretty simple deal. All right, so the detents are in. We've got these tightened and we've got all these locks. See how solid they are now? They won't go anywhere. That basically locates everything. Now, this little spring mechanism here is crucial. So this is actually the return spring for the ratcheting mechanism, which gives you the clunks in the detents so it returns. So all we have to do is just pull this around now. It's a little bit of a tricky deal, but just pull this around. Yeah, it is a pain,
Yeah.
but that's how it works. It's very simple, but effective to set up.
There it goes.
Okay, so we got that, just like that. Now that's the return for every time it ratchets to the next gear. Okay, so we're good to go on that. We should be all set. So now the gear set should be, yeah, it's pretty much complete. Just always double check everything, make sure it looks good. Yeah, so I'm liking that. So there we go, guys. We got the new gear sets in. Now we just got to put the case on, put it back together, and then we're ready to go. So I'm going to skip ahead, put all the case together, do the boring stuff, because this was actually where all the magic happens, and then I'll come back to you guys once I get the case on there. All right, so one extra thing that I forgot to show you guys was the new 6 gear is so much bigger that this is hitting the side of the gear for the shift selector. So when I go to shift to 6, this could interfere and tap the side of the gear. So I'm gonna go ahead and modify this. Sometimes you gotta make mods like this on these transmissions. These are not very user-friendly to put together as transmissions, but we're just gonna grind about 10 millimeters off of this and about 4.5 millimeters deep or so. We're gonna use our grinder. So here we go. Magic of filming, it's all together.
Dun, 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 dun.
So case is on, went together good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put all these back end pieces on. So yeah, we got the output shaft here. You guys can check this out. Full billet output shaft. This thing is a monster. So definitely not gonna have any issues with snapping our output shafts, hopefully. So that's why we did that. And that sounded like a brand new R1, which you know that sound from anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, now we're gonna do is we're gonna put the center differential in, the output shaft. We're gonna seal this up with RTV and we're good. So check this out though. With this new gear, she's way easier to shift. Look at this. Literally, that is awesome. It's never shifted that easy. That's pretty insane. So that tells me that everything's a lot better this time around. And I was always having issues with 6 gear, kind of like shifting it. And I think the reason why is because the ratios were so close together. There wasn't a reduction in gear ratio between 5th and 6th. And it needs some of that reduction to help it drop into the next dog engagement for the next gear. So now that it's right, I'm hoping it shifts even better. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get this all cleaned up. We're gonna put our needle bearings. So these have these needle bearings on the shaft here that sit here. So a little pro tip for you guys when you're trying to put these bearings on, these have to stay on here like this while you go to put everything together, and they just fall out. So a little pro tip for you is you take some either Vaseline, trans gel, or thick assembly lube, put those on, and it'll hold on there long enough where you can get this stuff together. So show you guys a little bit of that. So yeah, I'm gonna clean this up, get it together, and then let's put this baby in the car. Okay, well, we got the transmission in. Now it's time to see if we got 6 gear, so here we go. That's not good. It's running, it's not running all 4 cylinders, and I have a feeling I know why. I hope I'm wrong, but I have a feeling my injectors are rusted shut again from sitting. So the car's been sitting now for what? Over a month?
Yeah, probably 2.
2 months
yeah.
with the 85 in it. Cold weather's hit. Shop's been 30 degrees. And I was really worried that the injectors were going to get rusted shut again, because E85, when it sits in cold weather in the fuel system, it wreaks havoc. So that's why typically it's not good to just leave a car sitting. And so it sounds like it's only running on 3 cylinders. It doesn't sound smooth at all. So I'm hoping I just got a coil pack hooked up wrong, because I did just hook those back up. That would be best case scenario. Worst case scenario, I gotta send the injectors out again to get them re-cleaned and fixed. So yeah, white in the front, black in the back. They're hooked up. Yep, that's good. So that's most likely what's going on. We'll double check the injectors and make sure they're hooked up right. Yeah.
Can you double check the other side?
Yep, I just did. Yeah, unfortunately, that looks like that's what's going on. One thing we can try is try to isolate which injector it is, because it just won't be clicking. So this thing's so loud though, it's going to be kind of difficult, but what you can do is you can feel them to see if they're pulsing. So I'm going to do that, and then if I feel one of them that's not pulsing, I'll try to tap on it with a screwdriver and see if I can get it to break free. But not a good situation. Can't win. I wanted to pull the E85 out of it. I should have. I didn't think it was going to take 2 months though to get the transmission fixed. But it's race car stuff. It's unfortunately high maintenance. So if the injectors are indeed plugged again, I was just planning on draining all the fuel out anyways and putting a couple gallons of pump gas in it to move it around, but unfortunately it looks like I'm a little too late on that. So I'm going to start it again, see if we can figure out what cylinder it is. Number 4, not firing at all. I unplugged number 4. There was no change. You can hear how rough it's choppy. It's not smooth. So it's only running on 3 cylinders right now, which really sucks. Yeah, I'm gonna pull that injector out real quick and see if I can tap it on the bench and see if it'll unstick, but it's not good. This sucks. All right, so this is cylinder 4. This is the injector I just pulled out that was not making a change. So basically what you do is you pull these caps off, and this is a pre-filter that's in here that's supposed to keep trash from getting in there, but what happens, there's no trash in it. It's just that the E85 is super hygroscopic and it attracts moisture. It's like a sponge. So in cold weather, when the weather gets bad, there's a high moisture content in the air, and when the fuel gets cold, it'll actually rust the internals, because unfortunately these 2150s don't have a stainless steel pintle valve inside, and technically they work with ethanol, but they're not 100% resistant to the ethanol's effects. So other injectors, like the ones I run in the Forester, they're 1650s, they have a stainless steel internal, so they don't have this issue nearly as much. But in a race car, we have to run this injector because it's the only injector that can supply the fuel we need. So unfortunately, you're not supposed to let it sit in E85. You're supposed to let, pump gas or whatever, but let's see here. Usually you can turn them upside down. So you're not going to really find much in them. But what we can do is when we hook 12 volts to these, you'll hear them click. And this one right now is not clicking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook power to it, and then I'm going to bang it on the bench and see if I can get it to start clicking again. So I'm going to go get a jump box and set this deal up. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook the jump box up to the injector. Now when you do this, you have to be very careful, because you don't you don't want this injector to be on all the time. You just want to tap it to see if it's gonna click. And what you can do is you can spray WD-40 through them and pickle them is what people call it, and it lubricates the injector if you want to store them. But so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna click it. So let's see if we can hear this. See that? So come down here with the camera. Listen. Stuck. It's not clicking. So that's the issue. So what we're gonna do, wow, it's really stuck. So what we're gonna try to do here, it's still not going. Holy crap. Let's see if we can.
What are you looking for?
I'm just gonna try to tap it on something more solid. Nope. It's super stuck. Oh, there it goes. Listen. Hear it clicking?
Oh yeah, you can even see it a
So
little
look,
bit.
and zoom in there.
Oh yep.
Yep, we got it. So it's free now. All right, so let's see if it works now. All right, so I got the injectors back in. I sprayed some rust penetrant lube inside of that one. And so that's in hopes that it'll keep it freed up until we go to fire it again. So I'm just gonna hook this last little breather line up here and hopefully turn the key and hear it run smooth. So, all right. Well, here goes nothing. we had to grind down. I wonder if I didn't grind enough. That's not good. That shaft, basically that shifter lever that goes in the transmission, because the 6th gear is now so much bigger. We didn't have this issue before because I had a really small 6th gear. Well, now the issue's bigger. It's basically when you go to upshift, it's hitting the teeth on 6th gear. That little shaft is just barely touching it.
Why wasn't it doing that when we tested it out on the table?
Well, we can't really tell because once the engine's running and spinning, we don't have that kind of RPM on the table to test that, unfortunately. So it sucks, but it is what it is. So that shaft, we have to pull that back out, and that needs to be ground down more. We didn't clearance it enough, and I clearanced it quite a bit. I was pretty sure I had enough clearance on it, but it's really hard to tell because once you're put it together, you're kind of blind. You just hope that you did it good enough. So, well, that sucks. But I have to fix it. Don't have a choice, unfortunately. Well, guys, I'm going to end the video there. Yeah, I got to take transmission apart again, and I got to fix this issue, unfortunately. I'm going to reach out to Caps tonight and talk to them a little bit because they were very vague about it, and you know, see if what I can do. But that's what it is. I guarantee you that's what it is, because it's only doing it on upshift and not downshift, and upshift it pushes in, upshift pushes out.
And it wasn't doing it before. So.
No, it wasn't doing it before because we had 2/5 gears.
We didn't have that problem.
Yeah, we had 2/5 gears. So, well, we do have a 6th gear now. I saw the speed and definitely works. So, you know, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. That's how this whole project's been, unfortunately. So, well, till next time, guys. End the video. We'll see you later.